agriculture, regarding farm animals. If you have anything, I know I got some questions that I'm going to put in the chat as well. But without further ado, our guest speaker once again is Mr. Derrick Dawson, and he has been in agriculture his whole life, but is a professional, consults with other farms and gardens for them to be productive based on his information with agriculture. He has come to Dallas and did events with us with Soil Sisters. And that was a very great hit because my soil sister, Trisha Ray, that you all know, she had to take some great advice from Mr. Derrick Dawson. So without further ado, Mr. Derrick Dawson, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Derrick Dawson. I'm part owner of GFD Farms in Valdosta, Georgia, along with my two sons and my wife. We raise Brangus cows and goats and sheep right now, hell of sheep. But there's a lot to do with husbandry. It's a part of agriculture that's a part of our way of life. That we raise animals for meat, we raise animals for fiber, we raise animals for other products. And we also does that in our day-to-day operations. We look around and you have different animals and livestock that are being raised today. You have chickens, you have rodents, that's such as rabbits, coons, grasshoppers, crickets. They're also considered as animal husbandry. That selective breeding is done for them, not only for medical use, but for human consumption. So with that being said, I'm open up for questions. I know we don't have much time, so if anyone have a question, I'll be trying to give my advice, but then again, I don't know everything, so I'm always apt to learn more.
Definitely. So when I was on a tour, we toured your farm some years ago, and you had livestock, you had cows, but you also have dogs, and you also mentioned having cats. Like, why do you need so many animals?
Okay. Okay, we also have we raise about 30 acres of pine trees and 2.5 acres of pecan trees, and we grew peanut hay. And you got rodents that eat the peanut hay, so we need cats to control the rodents in the peanut hay. We have the dogs to protect the sheep and the goats that are in the pen, because we have coyotes and we have foxes, and we also have vultures that will eat a newborn. If the newborn don't get up in a certain time, it will eat a newborn calf, or a newborn goat, or a newborn anything, newborn chicken. So that's why we have the dogs around.
Do you have to train the dogs?
Yes, dogs are just like a child. Animals are just like children. Everything must be trained. Every animal on the farm is trained. Every animal has a name, has a tag. The dog is known by his name, the cows known by their name, the sheep and the goats. In order to establish a relationship with them, that means that you don't need to be running behind Baby Boy. Baby Boy is a 3,000-pound bull that is on the farm, an Angus bull. And if he get out, you got to just walk up to him and say, go back in. You can't run him down the street or down a major highway. And that being said, your cats get out, and your dogs get out. You don't want your dog get in heat, he'll jump the fence and he'll go find him a mate to mate with. So
are you trusting these animals to come back? So I don't know how to train a cat. Now, how do you sit down, go?
I have had that question asked. You start when they're young. You start out with it, feeding them what you feed them, because that's very important. Because whatever an animal is, eat, that's what it is, and that's what you're gonna be. Whatever you feed the animals, you feed a dog food all the time, the dog gonna get sick. If you feed a cat food all the time, the cat gonna get sick. Feed that dog some scrap off of your table. Feed that cat some scrap off of your table, and watch the difference of the eye score of the cat. That means you can look in your animal eye and see the score of it. Is it 1 to 10? 1 being that he's healthy. Well, 1 means he's not healthy, and 10 means he's healthy. That's how I judge animals. We do not give our animals antibiotics on our farm. No antibiotics are given.
I
So that
heard you
means
say that to Trisha Ray, because she was saying that her animal was sick and that she was about to, do all this stuff. And you was like, stop right there. You're not taking that animal to the vet. You're not going to give it nothing. And I was like, why? I thought you were so cruel.
but just as nature heals us, it heals your animal. Certain enzymes, certain medicine that we can give our animal that we take every day that heals our body. Sunshine, rain, heat, it heals our body. Animals have to have certain body temperature. Water is essential. Water is essential. The water is the source that keeps all of us alive. Our body is consumed with more water in it than it does blood. So that means the animal have to consume even to the point of whatever you put in that animal's water, that's going to get in your system before you give that animal some biotics or antibiotics or anything. So I learned just heartworms, dog's heartworm. I'm not a vet, but I could tell you this. If you have a dog or a cat with heartworm, put vinegar in this water and watch the difference. Because most dogs
for Kilo, she put some vinegar in the water and she really felt like there was some sort of bounce back. I'll let her
because I did not feel like bleach was the right way to go.
Well, that's something I didn't know. The vinegar. I need to try that.
Okay, and then you got, different, you got fish. You could raise livestock and fish and different things you could put inside your fish aquarium. You got cats, depawing them, cut their paws, cleaning it, depawing a dog, because the germs get in those paws, and when they scratch, guess what? That get into their skin and so forth and give them affection and everything. So, but with that being, yeah, so that's why I urge young people to go to veterinary school. We need more vets in this country, in the world today, because in another 2 years there will be a famine in this land, maybe quicker than that. Lack of food, and if we don't have young people to service us in planting and growing our animals in our gardens and our food chain gonna be cut short. We look around, there is most of us are in a food desert. I'm sitting here now in Jacksonville, Florida, on the St. Johns River. Beautiful day, but I look around and say, well, what's a great place to eat at? No one serves avocados around here. So I have to drive back to Georgia and find a place that serves avocado and the right type of food. And well, even your fish. Now, fish is fresh over here. That's what I like coming to Jacksonville for fish. Now, it's right out the river. You got your shrimps, but you also can grow your own shrimps if you purchase land. You could start aquaculture. That way, you could grow your own shrimp. You could grow your own fish, and then you could harvest them and sell them to any chain store you would like to sell them to. It's a lot out there we could engage in, but that's because we got to have that meat, we got to have that milk, we got to have clothes, we got to have vehicles, even your lines. Every piece of wire in the world have peanut oil. Every piece of wire. You couldn't show me any kind of electric wire, anything that has a cover on it has peanut oil on it. So That's why the squirrels and the rats eat your wire in your cars and be parked or your boats you be parked or somewhere. That's why they eat the wire. I have a problem with my goats eating the wires on my track because of that reason. So we have to keep the track.
So my next question being, well, not so much a question, a segue into what Jerry Robinson, Jerry Raw, our Vice President of Dallas Ag Women, he is 100% engaged in aquaculture. And that has been something we have been trying to get more backyards into, and we've been successful in one situation. I didn't know if you could speak to that, Jerry. You're on mute, friend.
Oh, sorry about that. And I have been trying to jump in there for a minute, like nobody hears me. Hey, but before we segue into that, you mentioned something about goats, and I wanted to ask, have you found that you've been selling more goat as of lately as the Mediterranean market and those individuals from outside of the U.S. come into the U.S.? Have you started to see an uptick in your goat sales as far as meat sales?
Well, yes, we practically we sell more goats than we do cows. Goats is the most profitable animal we have on the farm now because we have less in 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 weeks we could move a goat to your table.
Okay.
Me and a cow, it takes about 6 months to get him up. Then they'll send him to the stockyard. Then they'll fat him out some more. So
right.
Yes, yeah. But goats are very peculiar animals. They'll eat anything but plastic. They'll eat your shirt off your back if you let them. Yeah.
Yeah, so as Darcia was saying, we had an opportunity back in June to put an aquaculture center, aquaculture system at this boys center. There's a young man named Mr. Reginald Peel. He runs a group home of about 6 boys at his mother's old home. And so he didn't know anything about it. And I was saying, look, man, you can grow your catfish right here in the back, along with, the collard greens and everything that you've been talking about. He said, oh yeah. I said, yeah. So we built this system out and we put the fish in, and you should have saw those children's eyes and everything light up, because we went to Boston, Texas to pick up the fish. And then when we brought them back, we allowed the kids, I call them children, they're young teenage boys. We allowed them to put it into the system, and he's been giving me reports ever since. Like, he's like, I noticed an attitude change. They start to care more about taking care of themselves, because they are, just taking care of fish. They go out and feed the fish once a day. So if you could speak to just growing fish and how, I don't want to call it easy, because everything isn't, easy to everybody, but that is not that big of a challenge to grow fish in your backyard.
It's not. All it takes is space, a little bit of space. That's it, and time, and a little bit of. If you could raise fish in your house in an aquarium, you could raise them in your backyard. And when I grew up, every neighbor of mine had a chicken, cow, or a goat, or a hog, or something in their backyard. But now at my house, I can't raise no chicken, cows, or goats in my backyard. At your house and everybody else's house, mostly on this call, we can't have. So that means we got to go out and do what? We have to buy our food, and we don't know where our food comes from or how it's being produced. So we need to get back to, like you say, so about one person raise a hog, one person raise a cow, one person raise a chicken, some chickens, some ducks, some geese, some turkey, fish. You got one. You can't do fish and shrimp in the same backyard unless you got different places to put them. You want to put them in different places, and and it'll flourish. We got to get the food chain built up. We building up the military in this country, but our food chain is going down.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. You said you feel as a farmer that you believe there's a famine coming in this land in the next 2 years. Why did you say that? Why do you believe that?
Because lack of people going in agriculture.
Okay.
The average age of the individuals in agriculture now are 58 years old, my age.
Mm-hmm.
No younger people are going into agriculture. And we got to capture somebody. We got people going into technical and the educational world, but no one is going into agriculture. So we got to capture, like you say, the young folks' eye. Somebody is doing this fish part here. This guy here started my son, he started an orange grove at every school system in Lowndes County where I live. So they got oranges and lemons, but not only you got to grow it, but you got to go out there and pick it too. We got to learn it's not that hard to get your food. Your food don't come from stores. They come from the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And see, we got to teach everybody. Well, we got to revamp our minds. Our minds been saying, I could go to the store and I can get this, but one day it's gonna come. We're not gonna be able to go to the stores and get what we want. Back in 2020, it set the example for us. With COVID, it showed us. The God had already done showed us the handwriting on the wall. Now, what you gonna do from this day forward?
Yes.
Very interesting, because that's what we're trying to do. This is one of the farmers that we're trying to link up with. He's got multiple farms. And so as we talk about the food chain and how we know it's broken on our end, he still has more access because he has a lot of land and he has farm or agriculture friends. Here we got homegirls and homeboys that can't help us eat tomorrow. They can't even give us a recipe. So this is a huge misconception that we are going to be okay, or we are going to be able to get that sea moss anytime we want to, or, all these things that we use on the outside that we're unable to make if it doesn't get imported. So this was extremely important, but I know there's a lot of people out here, Mr. Dawson, that especially my Michigan group, if anybody on here is from Michigan, the number one problem they have is squirrels. Squirrels are just gangsters. They just eating up everything. Even at my dad's house, the squirrel be sitting on the fence, just eating and leaving the seeds as he goes. It's just disrespectful. What do we do?
Exactly.
Solution. Okay. At the farm we have bobcat problem. We don't have a squirrel problem on that farm because we have bobcats out. But the bobcat not only eat the squirrels, they eat the turkeys, the quails, and all the other fowls that are there. So we got to eliminate the bobcat. Okay, the squirrels. In the community of Michigans, do they have a cat problem around there?
I don't think so. I know in Minnesota we never had a cat problem because they were selling the cats at the they was killing them and selling them. So it's an Asian community.
Okay, so what I'm saying is the cat is the solution to their problem. Put cats out there. That's what I did. Put cats out there where they was eating up the pecans. The squirrels would come and take the pecans out of the hole when they take them out there in the forest, in the pine tree forest, and plant them. We got trees growing out there in the pine tree forest, pecan tree, where the squirrels done took them. They'll put them in a nest, and they'll bury them, whatever, and then the trees go. So they ate up all the pecans. So I said, well, I'm tired of buying bullets to shoot the squirrels. That's antidote I can't go. Well, I just shoot. I go out there and shoot. I got tired of buying bullets. So I went and got some cats. My neighbor got some cats. Well, the neighbor, he got some cats. So them cats has pretty well eliminated my squirrel problem, but But they created another problem for me. That means cats multiply quick.
Mm.
they, they multiply quick. So my neighbors we had to start getting rid of some cats. But that's what we did. We take them and relocate them to another farm. That's what we've been doing.
So you could be if you have a squirrel problem, you can potentially be a cat farmer or
Yeah,
because
you start raising cats.
yeah.
Cat is good. That in other countries, you got squirrels, rabbits, and rodents that they use, even grasshoppers and cricket. They have cricket farms where they actually sell crickets on the open market in other countries. They sell
Yeah.
grasshoppers. And you know, we think about just the little things as a cat market. It makes you go,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw like an influx of mosquitoes in some
Now,
country. They took a net and they were just like rounding them up. And then they slapped them on the grill, y'all, and had mosquito burgers. I was like, wait a minute. You gotta do what you gotta do.
with another thing, I seen someone ask the question, I want to purchase land, and how do I purchase land? One of the questions I just saw. Can I just want to let you know I'm not a realtor or anything, but in order for you to purchase land, all you have to do is do it. We as consumers, we could do a lot if we try and start. We don't try to go purchase 70, 65, 10, purchase 1/4 of an acre. You don't need to start big, start little, half acre, third of acre, whatever you do it and do that. And I guarantee you'll see the results. Once you get your once you establish your foundation, you can build upon it. We did more agriculture, raised more products on a 1/4 acre land than we did on 10 acres of land. Then when we went from 10 to 30, we raised more on that 10 acre land than we did on that 30 acre land. And now we up to 74 acres, and we mostly does an animal husbandry. We'll do some pecans and that's grow a little something for the house. But the main thing is to alleviate. It's always a solution to every problem under the sun. It's a solution, but we just got to think small. We want to make it complex. You keep it small. So I tell you to purchase land, and once you start purchasing your land, you got every county in the United States got an FSA office. When they contact your FSA office and tell them you want to become a beginning farmer. During that time, if you want to, they're going to tell you got to purchase how many acres of land before you establish a farm number and so forth and so on. But do the little things first. Purchase your property, and if you own land, please pass it to the next generation. Let somebody, because that's how we lost a lot of farmland. Because they're building subdivisions every day, they're building jail houses every day, they're building banks and schools. But guess what? We don't have no more farmland. And so that's back to the question earlier. We need to get a food chain established in this country that be conservative to support the next generation. Because we got more people on the earth than we did in 2000, 2020. Every year is being some more people coming on earth, and we have to be fair.
However, they are creating a lot of viral diseases that, are in population control. So you just want to make sure that the type of control they're putting on you, you are not dependent upon, you're not subject, because you are eating your own nutrients and growing your own food. When our kids are eating 3 meals a day at somebody else's establishment, their mind no longer belongs to you. So it is imperative that we get this food chain going, which we are, and we have been diligently working. We want to 100% be grateful for the information that Mr. Dawson has supplied us. And I want to open up the questions for anyone else on the call, because I know that we have, like Michael Ware, she's on the call. She's interested in rainwater catchment. However, I have been going everywhere to find a specialist to speak to us about rainwater catchment. And these are the things like somebody's in control, right? Because we don't know this, and I'm in desperate need of getting this information for you all, for us, because not only is our food going to deteriorate, our water sources are very fragile right now too. And that water is how sometimes we're failing on the farms, because it's city water, it's a product, it has so many additives in it, and when you open it up like a little soda, and we're confused that we're buying all this bottled water. Mr. Dawson, you said we're consumers. We're buying all this bottled water without understanding how to filtrate the water. And that's a consumption mind frame to say that I'm gonna get better bottled water. And all they're doing is turning on the tap, adding in the bottle, and then putting some nutrients in it. That's what you call purified water, just adding nutrients. It's not that they're doing too much different. So our water is fragile, our food is fragile, someone else is supplying it for us, therefore we are weak. And I want us to become strong. Is there anything you'd like to add before we open it up for questions, Jerry?
No, not right now. I'll say my piece at the end, but you're right on point. And Mr. Dawson, we're thanking. I'm listening. Yeah, let's open it up for questions. We got quite a few people on. What about the state of our soil? Bettina wants to know, Mr. Dawson or Darcia, what about the state of our soil? Is it depleted of its nutrients?
Well, that is determined by a soil sample. You can get a soil sample from your extension offices, and they could tell you what you're missing, whether you're missing phosphorus, you're missing sodium, or whatever alkaline you're missing out of your soils. You could do that. Anybody could do that, because most counties have an extension office, and they'll gladly do that for a price. Every year before we plant, we have to get a soil sample. That way, I'll know how much lime to put out, how much phosphorus, and how much fertilizer, what type of fertilizer to put out. But it's depending on, the soil is not depleted. No, it's not depleted. It have nutrients in it, but we just got to pull those nutrients up to the root of your plant that you're planting.
Good point.
Yes. And I would say the over farming is what, because he's not a commercial farmer like for corn or wheat or anything like that, he's going to tell you his soil is going to be great because he's got farm animals that are continuously dropping and making sure they're keeping the ecosystem together. However, these community gardens that we were told that was the greatest thing since sliced bread and we could be independent, those gardens are the one that the soil is depleted. And guess why? Because every year they want to grow greens, the same thing in the same place. And so the soil doesn't have anything left. So now you're like, I did so good with my farm the last 3 years, and this year I didn't do anything, because you keep growing the same thing and it has nothing. And even if you put it back, it's still more synthetic and not it's like, a one-a-day pill versus you going and actually ingesting that persimmons or something that goes through the process. These additives are very much synthetic too. So yes, we do have depleted soils in our situation here in the Dallas DFW Metroplex based on our community gardens and the lack of soil testing and the lack of crop rotation, which is important because you will bring about a lot of pests if you continuously grow the same thing.
That's great. Can I say something? On that crop rotation is very important, just like animal rotation. We run the goats in the field, then we run the cows in the field, then we run the sheep in the field. That's rotating them out. The goat eats a certain part, Same thing with you. If you plant greens, you don't want to plant something that's gonna give you some uh, more nutrients in your soil next year. You want to rotate your crops out. Just don't stick with your same crops all the time. Or plant one row here, skip a row there, and then kind of plant your rows. And I did go out to I flew out to what part of Texas was it? Austin, and I forgot. I apologize. Your soil is depleted because I went out to Austin and I did a farm. Yes, I do apologize. It got something called quinso soil out there. And let me tell you, I got out there with a pole so digger and started going down and I couldn't move. So I got a pick and I'm a big guy and I'm swinging. And I said, man, what? He said, man, you ain't going to be able to bust that. I said, oh my goodness. So I learned back up instead of trying to go deeper, put something on top. Start putting chips, build that soil up, bring you some topsoil in there or whatever, and plant on top of that. Because yes, your soil is depleted. I do apologize.
It's so up from the flow up around here.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
So we got another question, which I can answer, and it has been posed before. But can you grow shrimp in your backyard as a suburbanite?
Yes.
And I absolutely 100% want to say yes. If we can grow fish in the backyard, in which, if Darcia, we just need you to post some of those pictures of what we just did right here in Oak Cliff. 900-gallon fish tanks that we created as an aquaponic system for Reginald and Peel
Now,
Pond.
tell people what aquaponic is. Tell them what aquaponic is.
So what aquaponics is when you're growing fish and vegetable at the same time. You're taking nutrient-rich water that the fish are pooping in, and you're running that water out to your raised beds, and that is the fertilizer for the plants. The plants then are taking up that nutrient, and the water that's being left is drained back down through the soil medium, which the water is then being cleaned up also, and is returning back to the fish tank clean and dropping down into the fish tank, whereby aerating that water. So you have a symbiosis system, a sustainable system going on, to where you could even be growing your own fish food. So you're not even going out and purchasing fish food. So that is doable, and therefore shrimp is very much doable. And the aquaculture market, just so everyone on the line knows, right now, with everyone in the United States doing aquaculture, and us just using California as the example, we cannot even meet the needs of the California fish market right now, with every single person that's ever doing aquaculture, aquaponics, growing any type of fish, shrimp, mussel, whatever. In the US, we could not even meet the market of California. That lets you know how large the market is and where we can get in, and starting small and building up to that.
Yes,
we have one more question. We got one more. How long should the land? Okay, and I was gonna pose this to you, Mr. Dawson. So the question is, how long should the land rest after your animals have grazed to the beginning to plant crops?
Okay, after your land, it depending on how long. Okay, there's some people say 7 years, some say 7 days. I say plant whenever you get the soil, temperature. The reason that you don't want to let your land lay out once you got rain, sunshine, that'll start taking away your nutrients from your soil. If you don't use your soil, you'll lose your nutrients. You got to use it.
So in my opinion with that would mean if there needed to be more time, let's say the the manure is not going to stay raw forever. You know,
Right.
the manure is going to dry up. So it's going to be a benefit, you know, right away. But there are, you know, other crops that you might want to go into, such as your root crop. You
Right.
might just want to start planting, you know, things that take those nutrients way down into the soil, such as dandelion, okra. But those are not root crops. But as far as root crops are carrots, your beets, your turnips, and those things. Somebody, Miss G, can y'all mute?
Can you mute? Okay. Well,
Somebody.
and that's highly correct. Those crops like peanuts and sweet potatoes and potatoes that grows underground are you can put them in as soon as possible behind your animals. But it's beneficial that you put it in as soon as possible, whatever you're growing, because you don't want to lose your nutrients in your soil.
Yes. And another reason why fish is important right now that you all have to consider, we're trying to be so healthy, right? They told us beef, red meat was X, Y, and Z. And then we all ran to chicken and poultry. And then now we see how fragile that industry is, and that they don't care if the chicken's breasts are so big, they can live their whole life on, you know, on their face and have broken legs and stuff and still sell that to us. But this fish game is interesting because a lot of our prescriptions go into this water. And so now they're experiencing transgender fishes. They're also experiencing three-headed fish. So the more we eat fillets, yes, and triple eyes, and they're deformed. So the more you eat the fillets and catfish nuggets and things that do not have the bone with it anymore, be skeptical on boneless and seedless. These things they're not natural nowhere. And so with you know, feeling like, oh, I'm at this expensive restaurant, I ordered this salmon, girl, it was blackened or whatever. You don't know if that piece of salmon, because they only give you a little piece. You don't know what if it was sick. So those are the reasons why we've got to be so proactive.
Okay. And with that, the biggest concern our government have right now is with zoomies or diseases that humans get from animals.
Okay.
So that with what she's saying, that's why I was gonna bring up this subject, that you know we require a lot of diseases from animals, and not only for animals, for plants. So biosecurity is very important right now, because we know that the word bio means that in the security, we got to have a secure food chain. So that's why I say 2 years, we need to get as many producers, many backyard farms, many herbal farms, any and everything growing in this country. And they've got the facilities and the people and the agencies to help us, like what y'all doing out in Texas. I applaud y'all, and like I said, I'm looking forward to coming out there. I haven't been out there in 5 years, but I'll be looking forward to coming out there and visiting and see some of the farms that we put in Houston and so forth. And Houston and Austin and that areas. So, but
Any other
definitely.
questions?
Real quick, I just want to tell everybody, Darcia posted in the chat where you can see that aquaponic system at Mr. Peel's. We call it Peelponics. That's one of the first backyard aquaculture systems in Oak Cliff, here in Dallas, Texas. And we should be able to take a field trip out there this summer, you know, or early spring. So if anybody who is here in the DFW Metroplex wants to see it, then yeah, they can. But it's there in the chat. It's a YouTube that she did.
Okay. We got one question in the chat. You need to find a community garden. Oh, I saw somebody wants to find a community garden. There's gonna be so many. I don't care where community garden you go to. You tell them you want to volunteer, you about to be overworked. Like they need you. So if you go to community garden, expect to be pimped in the way you want to be pimped. The things you want to learn, because baby, they about to give it to you. Because I would, because these, you just don't have people when you're participating in the community. Like people want to learn. They're so excited, but they fall off real fast. Our endurance is not there. So that's number one I wanted to say. But there was one last question. Does this organization have connections with schools to start gardens with the schools? So the schools, let me tell you my little spiel. Jerry can plug in and Mr. Dawson as well. They're slow moving boats and they are not very serious because they haven't advocated for agriculture programming to go along. So I have been building school gardens, and the most disheartening thing for me with our urban dollars and how they're allocated, I've been paid and I was paid well to install these gardens. But the most disappointing part of it all is once you install, the district is not going to maintain the water supply if something happens to it, if it breaks. You will be on a work order. And one of the schools that I'm on now, the work order was on for a year, but then they said, we're about to build a new one. So we won't be fixing this water anyway. So I have 3 schools that I put up at 4 gardens total at these 3 schools. And I have other schools that are ready, but they don't understand that their district is not going to, their maintenance person is not the person that's capable of repairing water and or implementing farmers markets or what to do with this produce. If they don't already have successful programs that they've been bringing on, such as the sheriff's department, the EMT, all these different things, I'm not finding personally are successful right now. They got the person to teach, but they might not have the equipment. If they got the equipment, they don't got the student or the interest. They're just throwing money at this issue. It's almost like a broke car and don't nobody know, and they just keep throwing parts.
Agreed. 100% for me.
And on that, the schools in Lowndes County, and this is county schools, do not have gardens in it, but the city schools have gardens. Like you said, we got to start when they're young and in the school. Our future depend on our school students, our future. Now like I said, the average age of farming in the United States now is 58 years old. So that means it's not too many farmers left. It's not too many backyard farms, agriculture. There's not too many people raising livestock. So more and more are turning to domestic use. So please, I encourage the Dallas area, whoever's on this call to get involved in raising food for the food chain in this country.
Thank you so much for your time, everyone on this call. I'm going to hand it over to Jerry. I'm extremely grateful. There's more to talk about. Next Sunday, we have another talk. If we can have about 30 to 45 minutes of your time, we will be doing and enlightening in the same ways. Thank you so much, Mr. Jerry.
Yes, we want to thank you all for coming out again. We are Dallas Ag Women. .org is where you can find us. As you can hear and see, the Passion Darcia is our president and leader. I am your vice president. We do bring you as much program as we can and or hands-on experiences, including travel and agriculture. If you like what you heard today, be on the lookout for our conference coming up in October. And you can find that at freedomtogrow.us. freedomtogrow.us. That's in October. You will hear the same type of passion and exciting stories. You will get hands-on training. There will be opportunities and solutions brought forth, as well as you will see the plan as we build this alternative food system. Lastly, I want to thank Mr. Dawson for being on. I spoke with Darcia earlier, and I need everybody's thoughts and prayers to go out to his family. She shared a little bit about your dad, And we really greatly appreciate you taking this time to be with us as you work with your father. So everyone, thank you. We'll see you next week. God bless.
Thank you. Whoop, whoop.
Cool.